What's up, guys? Welcome back to Viewer Castles. Today we're going to start off with Glorfindel. Castle level is a 21. I'm going to try it on my knight. I think I can do level 21 castles during this patch, even if I'm not the best knight player in the world. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to say is that something that I have mentioned in the past, like you see me using, and you see a couple of high level players using a Stairmaster on this specialization. The problem is they don't get good until tier 4, which is at level 28 for them. Because for some reason, the balance on this specialization is just terrible. Like, at level, what is it going to be? At level 24, which is their rank 3, they'll do about 30 to 40 damage. And then at level 28, they'll do like 150. It's crazy how much it increases. It's just really not all that balanced. And so as it is now, you can see, I was standing in that forever and it just did no damage to me whatsoever. It's just not useful at all. You have to use one of the other specializations if you want to do any damage whatsoever. And even them, they aren't really that amazing, but like they're okay, you know. Mainly the teleport one, it does okay damage. It is a projectile, so it can be dodged pretty easily, and it's a little bit easier for archers to deal with, but it's still, you know, less dodgeable than the other specialization. If you want to use Stairmasters and you don't have some tricky way of using the purple ones where they drop the slower eyeballs, then that's probably the best thing that you can do. Is use the teleport specialization. Alright, so this is pretty good. I would say that the only thing that I would change is maybe this silence trap needs to be over just slightly so that it blocks this corner a little bit more, because as it stands right now, if you wait in the corner of this bubble, it'll go away eventually. So what I could have done is aggroed it, went back to here. By the time that they actually got here, the silence would be gone and I could, you know, stand there unobstructed. I would say in this spot, your mine here actually adds like a way that I can dodge this Zeke a little bit easier, and I would remove it and put it somewhere else. I don't think it's really helping you in any way. Alright, spike traps, I would say that rotating cannon is probably better. It does the same general thing, it zones you out, but it's a little bit smaller. The zoning area is a little bit smaller, I do have to say that. But the problem is it has higher overall damage, higher like sustained damage, like it'll hit you more often, and it'll do more damage when it hits you, so until you get 3 panel spike traps, I think that's better. Alright, this guy is actually hurting quite a bit. Alright, this should be an interesting room. So I'm going to just go after the Dr. Skull. I think the only way to make this work is you have to have a Defendertron on him, probably. Or use 2 different groups. Basically, you pull the... You make the player kill a bunch of derps as the first group, and then the second group, somehow you have it pulled so that the Dr. Skull will end up in this general area and start resurrecting, and use a Defendertron on him so that it takes a while and he can start raising an army, basically. If you just leave it so that I can target the Dr. Skull, the trash units won't do enough damage to me, and I'll always target that. Alright, let's see if I do a double pull here, possibly. That actually could be decent. Fighting on this spike trap is probably not the best idea I've ever had. Alright. So this is going to be a resurrecting Dr. Skull. I didn't notice it in time, but I can still get in and deal with him. Not too difficult. So this is doing pretty good damage. Alright. So let's test the damage. It does about somewhere between like 75 and 100. Spike traps do 130, and they only have one tick of damage. You can see how this would probably hit you more often than a 2-panel spike trap. And it can do upwards of 400 damage if it hits with all 4 ticks that it can do. Basically, if it hits you and you're kind of traveling with it, it can hit you for 4 ticks. Generally, it only hit you for 2 or 3. More times than not. Alright. God, the hunger bots don't throw you at all either anymore. Like, they don't push you far. What level is it? Level 22. Huh. So bad. I mean, nothing you can do about it, it's just hunger bots are just a lot less effective. I think it's still an okay group. You have the hunger bot that pushes you, tries to push you onto the spike trap, it doesn't make it far enough anymore. And then the Zeke to hit you as well is good. Alright, this could be a problem. I'm gonna have to go around this corner. Zeke's with attack speed buffs are really difficult to engage, as you can see. A lot easier for archers, though. Knights have to, you know, constantly be juking around and still trying to get hits on them. Alright, and then we have this. This is a pretty good one. Let's see if I can... No, I missed the Defenatron. If I grabbed the Defenatron there, maybe I could have gotten it so that... he de-linked and then I wouldn't have had to kill it, but it's not a big deal. It's just, it's a good boss room though. I'm actually wondering, with the theme of Count Nottingham, if you actually have less play area in the boss room because of these sides here. Normally you can go up against the wall. I don't know if this would just be a visual effect, or if you actually have less room to maneuver. It's kind of interesting, I'm not sure. But yeah, these guys have quite a bit more hit points now. I think they've been fixed. And they still do low damage though. They're not like amazing. It's not something super new that everybody's gonna have to discover, or else you're never gonna be able to defend your castle. They're just okay units now. So we will jump into number 2 in just a second. Alright, for number 2 we have Freddy 51, castle levels of 16. Run through it really quickly because, you know, under 20, I would say, doesn't really have all that much available to you. I think 20 and above is where defending starts to get at least somewhat fun. But even at level, like, I would say now that camera rotation has been implemented, the best balance is probably at level 32, to be honest. And that's only because the hero is only 2 levels under you, right? So at level 32, castles are a little bit more imbalanced than they would be because, you know, you have a 2-level advantage. That's just kind of saying how bad the balance is right now in terms of defending and attacking, and in the favor of attackers. But that's how it is currently. Hopefully it'll change soon with free creation mode. Cross your fingers. Alright. So the only thing I would say about this room specifically is it's very wide open. There's a ton of room to maneuver. And then you just have kind of a lot of trash mobs in here, which, I mean, isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I don't think you'll get like a ton of damage out of this group. The Cyclops is okay with the smash stun, although it's a little bit better if you're in more of a cramped room, so that you can't maneuver around him and he gets his hit off a little bit more often. The Squidlies have a decent damage output, but they die pretty quickly, especially to archers, and then obviously derps are derps. And then Puppeteer is obviously good for support, so it's an okay group. For the one thing I would say is that this Pete Palmore, way out in the open, what I can do is just kind of like plan out my attack nicely so that I don't really take any damage from him. I did get hit there. I don't think I necessarily would have had to though. I didn't realize I have to attack twice. If it was an archer, I would have been able to kill that without taking any damage very easily. You always want to have elites kind of behind a wall or something, so that you can't just initiate on them with whatever skill you want to. I want to test something. I don't know if this will kill me, but I do want to test it if I can. Okay, for some reason this Hungerbot has literally no range whatsoever or something. Alright, so I think that I tested it correctly. See if I can get it again. I'm not sure. It's hard for me to test at these low levels. I think at a low level, this is kind of... You could see how hard it was for me to even make it work properly. Like, I was trying to get pulled... What I was trying to test there is before, in previous patches, when you get pulled by a Hungerbot, you had damage immunity, so you wouldn't take any of the damage from these eyeballs. That was like a stealth nerf last patch. I've heard recently that it's been reverted and it works kind of how it used to work, but I'm not 100% sure, so I was trying to test that, but it's so hard for me to actually get this guy to hook me because he has such low range now, because, you know, everything's been nerfed in patch 19. It was so difficult for me to make that work, you know. It probably won't work for you if someone's trying to get through your castle, right? So it's probably not going to be all that effective. I'm going to try again here if you have a Hungerbot. You don't, though. I think this is okay. Like, the jelly wall here makes it difficult for knights to engage, and then you have the bear traps, which also makes it hard for knights. So I mean, against knights specifically, I think this group is okay. Archers would just throw down a volley. Again, same principle applies where you don't want to have your elite out in the open like this, because you can kill it without taking any damage very easily. You can kind of get like a full combo off, you know? Whereas if you had it behind a wall and maybe a Snotter out in front, I have to initiate on the Snotter, or I have to like wait and try to get around, and then the Pete Poundmore would get closer to me. Alright. This is kind of a weird group. It seems like you just had maybe a couple extra points and you threw it in. It's okay. Alright, and then Dur. I think, you know, at the lower levels, the pre-made bosses are better than they are at the higher levels. So I think this is fine. Dur's actually not a bad boss. I encountered him at level 32 recently. I have to empty my inventory. But recently I encountered him at level 32, and he actually almost one-shot me. Because I was standing really close to him and he hit me with like multiple bolts, I think. Or maybe he just crit me, I don't know, but it did quite a bit of damage. I was surprised. And he can be difficult to dodge because those bolts do travel very quickly. You have to be very aware of when he's going to shoot and then get away from him, because the angle is very, like the cone in which he shoots is very small. So if you can just like vault out of the way or roll out of the way, or probably even just run out of the way if you're, you know, far enough away from him, you should be able to auto dodge it. But he's like an okay boss. We will jump into number 3 in just a second. Alright, and lastly we have Popcorn Chickens. Castle level's a 32. I don't think I've ever attacked his castle. So let's see if he has anything interesting that I haven't seen before. Alright, so this is pulling something. It looks like a Mr. Boom Boom. It's possible that this castle hasn't been updated since the patch. So as you can see, waiting around for Mr. Boom Booms is actually the correct choice now. It used to be that you would want to aggro the second group and kill that before the Mr. Boom really got around to you. But now that he walks straight to you, it's actually a lot more easy to just wait around, because they're a lot quicker now, because they don't pause to attack every few seconds. So much easier to deal with. Still quite tanky, so I think they're still okay units for that purpose alone. Because timers were nerfed again this patch, so, you know, having the 3 of those that you're allowed for competitions is probably still worth it, I would say. But you should almost never have explodifiers, I don't think, at level 32 anymore. I have to take them out of my castle. I haven't rebuilt yet, so I've rebuilt like one room just to test it as, you know, people attack my castle. I just want to see how things work. But yeah, explodifiers don't really add much anymore. I guess they're still okay, but very rarely I think explodifiers are good, because it used to be good around these, you know, chokes where you could pull them from far away, but now you really have to have a long line of sight so that they can start attacking you early on. 500 damage on that spike trap. It's a nice hit. Alright, what's this? Okay, so explodifiers again. We'll just try to drop a volley as they come around. Actually, I'll stun one of them, and then they kind of group up a little bit more, and then you can drop a volley. And then even though explodifiers drop multiple bomblets all at once as soon as they see you, if you initiate with a volley like I did there, none of the bomblets survive it, so it works out pretty good. I should have headshotted that. You want to try to like work on maybe blocking off that angle though. You notice how I attacked the Defendatron right there? If you can make it so that I have to attack the Stairmasters instead and initiate like that, it's a lot more difficult because you want to make it so that people can't just get that headshot off right away. Because if I have to, right, if you have like a mine or something blocking that off that, or you know whatever you do to block off that angle, and I have to initiate on a Stairmaster, they start attacking me. I am trying to line up a headshot. I'll take more hits. You know, I'll take a hit from that ominous orb, or I'll have to dodge out of the way and try to set up a headshot that way. So you know, obviously that's good. All right, pull two groups. Might be a mistake, but probably not a big deal. Yeah, a couple explodifiers. So yeah, you can see explodifiers just melt. They never had high hit points. It was really just their range that was good. Mr. Boom Booms, at least they still have high health, so they're kind of, you know, annoying to deal with if nothing else. Alright, I actually didn't empty my inventory, so hopefully I won't get any drops because I'll rage if I do. Not that the drop will be anything good, but I haven't had an upgrade in a long time. But, like, not knowing just bothers me. You know, that was what I was talking about right there. I was hoping that that would happen. So that's when I was talking about, like, 2 episodes or 3 episodes ago, I was talking about level 28 and 32 Cyclopses when they do the over the head smash, and you're literally just standing still and they miss. That was exactly the point that I was trying to make right there. Is if you just rewind and watch it, I literally stood still and waited for this guy to attack me because I thought he was far enough away for it to bug out like that. That definitely needs to get fixed. It makes over the head smashing Cyclopses almost useless. Because like the one time that they would hit, which was pretty rare to begin with, they miss now, which is kind of terrible. Like they have the same range as like rank 4 Cyclopses now, but they have like the attack range that they had in the previous patch. Like they haven't changed both of them, I don't think. So randomly sometimes they try to hit you, but then they miss. I think they still have slightly more range than rank 4, but not by much anymore. It used to be quite a big difference, almost double the range that the other ones had, which was really good. I liked Cyclopses back then. They did really good damage. They had a lot of utility in that respect. Like they actually turned into a pretty decent damage dealer at level 28. But now I think charge is probably the best thing. Maybe 3-punch combo does okay damage. I haven't tested it really. I think I found a farm once when I was randomly raiding castles that was Cyclopses at 3-punch combo, and I actually pulled the entire castle, so it can't be that amazing. I think I did have to potion, but just once. Alright, I'm gonna use a potion here. Just so I don't die. I like using bear traps on these guys. It's something that I've recently started doing because it slows down their spawn rate, because he's stunned obviously, and then you can use a headshot on him that way. Because usually if you just drop a headshot as you're fighting him and you don't use bear traps in between, oh that could kill me. You don't use bear traps, then you'll hit the bomblet that spawned instead of the Mr. Boom Boom himself. Alright, I'll wait for whatever's coming around here. That should be an obvious pull. Yeah, there it is. So some explodifiers. Looks like the castle probably wasn't updated yet. Generally, updated castles have a lot more rotating cannon traps and have less explodifiers like this. This kind of just feels like a patch 18 castle to me. Alright, so this one's better, because as soon as I enter the room, you have these guys attacking me. I actually think this room is pretty good for this, because you can have the rotating fire trap like this. I was talking about it, wasn't paying attention to my health, but the rotating fire trap inside of this little area with Stairmasters is probably the best damage you can do at level 28 and 32 castles right now. Although, if you put this here, I'm guessing you can't have a spike trap here. So my proper response to this should have been to fight in this area down in here, because there's no real trap coverage here. But that could also be blocked out by pulling another group. So it's pretty interesting. Might be something I check out when I rebuild my castle. I think at level 32 you still have a decent chance of making a castle that will kill people, only because rotating fire traps are so much better than they were before. To the point where they themselves are probably OP, but everything else is so underpowered that it kind of balances it out, you know? Which I guess is good, because if we didn't have those, it would be kind of pointless. Like, I probably wouldn't be participating in any competitions if we didn't have rotating fire traps the way that they are now. At least until, you know, something changes. Alright, so pretty much you had a lot of standard groups with Stairmasters and stuff like that. A lot of good spike trap placement. The Explodifiers are obviously not as good as they used to be. You don't have a boss, which, I mean, is fine, but obviously you want to take advantage of the 36-point group, I would say. But yeah, probably, you know, if you haven't updated your castle yet, then, you know, Explodifiers are the big thing that would be hindering you. I died anyway, so I mean, still a good castle. That is number 3, so we will end the video here. If you guys enjoyed I do, please subscribe. As always, if you want to be a part of ViewerCastles, you can email me at frenzycastleruns@hotmail.com, and I will put you on the list for ViewerCastle, which you can find in the description of the video. A link to a spreadsheet that will show kind of the list of people that I have to go, you know, the list that I have to edit, and then the people that are all done, uploaded, and set for release. If I get enough people done and set for release, generally I'll put a date on them, but as it's been for the last month or so, I've only really had 2 or 3 done in advance, so obviously you can figure out when your episode is coming just by looking and adding, you know, the days to it, because generally I release 1 per day. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.